think
Yes.
so.
Should I start?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're ready for the last debate this afternoon. Let's get started with round one. Our speakers already know what to do.
All right, so good morning. My name is Marianne Lombard. I'm here today to advocate against the legalization of vapes worldwide. There are many different subtopics that we are going to touch on tonight in this debate, but I would just like to give you a recap of what is going to be, what are the main arguments to why vaping shouldn't be legalized everywhere. So we of course have the health risks, the youth addiction, which is something we're going to center on. Our generation has just lived way through this issue. The misleading perceptions that people have worldwide about vaping and how they think it's so much different than smoking, the public health cost, the secondhand exposure, the environmental impact, which is huge, and the dual use that some people alternate between with these vapes, which just makes it completely irrelevant to have them around, and the lack of effective regulation worldwide.
Me?
Okay. Hello everybody, my name is Duncan Barter. I'm here arguing today for why vapes should be made legal. Wouldn't you agree that adults should have the freedom to make their own health choices, especially when safer alternatives exist? In the United Kingdom, a landmark review found that vaping is 95% less harmful than smoking tobacco. This is crucial as nearly 7 million adults in the UK alone continue to smoke cigarettes, exposing themselves to greater health risks than they need to. Moreover, vaping has aided 50,000 smokers each year to quit smoking effectively. As Professor John Newton of the Public Health England Institute insightfully said, smoking is still the leading preventable cause of premature death and disease, and vaping is one of the most effective quit aids available, helping, again, over 50,000 smokers quit each year. I am excited about this discourse today, and I'm very excited to debate you. I look forward to it.
All right.
We're ready for round two, where students review each other.
All right, so should I start?
Go ahead.
Always student
Okay.
goes first.
So you mentioned that a study from the UK shows that vaping is 95% more healthier than smoking. So other studies conducted by the research in the Environmental Science and Technology Journal prove that actually smoking is way worse than vaping. And I would like to touch up on that a bit further down the road. But what I really want to ask you right now is, what about FDA approvals? So vaping is a huge industry worldwide, and we have every country, literally, since we are arguing for the worldwide legalization, to worry about. So where are the regulations? How are we supposed to make sure that vaping is safer? And which vapes is this specific study based on? I mean, it's a 95%, which with a specific vape brand, or do you mean every vape ever?
Absolutely, I think that's a fantastic question. And I think it's fair to bring up the regulatory frameworks. I mean, when we're looking at the vape industry, it's massive. We've seen this take over worldwide, and you bring up FDA regulations. The only way that we can properly apply FDA regulations and proper regulatory frameworks to vapes worldwide is to have them be legal, have them be something that we can take them into a government setting, regulate them, see what works, see what's safe for people, see where the issues are, and then put out the best product possible for people. If we're gonna open this up just to the black markets, that's where we lose all regulation. FDA approval is out the window as soon as we try to make this illegal. So the only way that we can do this effectively is to properly legalize it and allow our professionals and allow ourselves to put money into it to decide what's safe. I turn the question back to you. If we were to make them illegal, how would you regulate a market that is existing? We must admit that vapes are prominent in the world. So making them illegal is not going to erase them off the face of the planet. How do you regulate them if on the black market.
All right, so when we turn to this whole FDA approval situation, there's a lot of money involved in this industry as well. So countries like Mexico or Costa Rica or other countries don't really have the mass production forces to go through all of these steps that they have to take to create a product, get them FDA approved, and then get them safe for their specific country. So then what would happen if the big masses, like maybe Canada or the US or maybe some countries in Europe, were to keep all of the business and push out and start distributing worldwide? Maybe their products would be safer. It still wouldn't ensure that people wouldn't get completely addicted, or that the youth wouldn't be completely immersed in this whole vaping situation. There's even a documentary on Netflix about how it basically ruined us, because this generation would have never taken on the cigarette.
Have you applied for that?
Yeah, I think it's no. I think it's a great argument. I think that documentary was great too. I watched that as well, and I do think you bring up the idea that major countries would be able to basically flood the market with regulated vapes. And I understand the concern there, absolutely. And if we're going over a broad vaping should be legal everywhere in the world, then this allows those countries that would rely on black markets. I've been living here in Mexico now for two and a half months at this point, where vaping is banned. I've been told it's illegal here. You're not supposed to have it. But I was at a club last weekend, and I saw more people with vapes in their hands than I do in Canada, where it's a legal market. So I think the issue here is not that we understand that vapes are bad and that they're not a good thing, but we understand as well that even when they're made illegal, like they are here, they are everywhere.
But that depends on the country.
Okay. We're ready for round 3. We don't have all day, I'm sorry. This is a mini
Yes, it's good.
debate. Okay, round 3 questions. Yes, to whom?
To the should not part. Yeah, knowing that in Mexico, several years ago, we banned alcohol and cigarettes, and that produced a high rise in the drug trafficking industry, because now alcohol and cigarettes were the thing that was trafficked. Do you believe that maybe banning vapes and all these electronic smoking devices that are now tendency could produce that effect? Like with marijuana, one of the things that were said when they unbanned it, when they legalized marijuana, was that they wanted to take out one drug from the drug trafficking industry. So maybe giving these smoking vapes to the drug trafficking industry wouldn't be more lethal than the vape itself?
Yes, of course. I do think that this perspective is quite appealing. It's smart. Nevertheless, I would like to have you join me from the perspective of when vapes were kind of introduced to us as a society. So before we had smoking, everybody was smoking. The whole Europe was smoking. Mexico, everybody was smoking. Then comes a generation, us, where we don't really fancy smoking. It's like 2003, 2004 babies just never took it. Here in Mexico, this is an experience, and I hope you can share it with me. And then all of a sudden, this bright new product comes along. People start loving it, and it turns into a huge addiction. So while we could be alarmed about giving the cartels, which are cartels, so that's another topic completely, but I would just like to touch on the subject that they deal with drugs and they deal with actual bad people, so not really vapes.
Question for student B. Yes, Pedro.
Okay. As you may know, when tobacco first started, it was people said that it wasn't bad for you, and you could smoke it anywhere, even in planes. But then, as time passed, we as a society saw the long-term effects that tobacco has on people. And my question to you is, well, why should we legalize vaping when we don't know yet the long-term effects it has on people?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I think the important way to look at it is that vaping is in the world. It's an issue that we are going to have to deal with. It is not something that we can prevent now because it is happening. So the best way that we can try to discover the later issues of vaping, try and modify it as best to provide it as a way for people to quit smoking, less of a way for people to get into it, is have that market be regulated, have vapes be taxed so we can use that money to put that into studies to find that out. We can use that money to try and create better products, right? Something we can move on from. We're having the talk right now in the US about ZINs and the legalization of the pouches. That's a big issue right now. And right now, it seems to be that there's tons of money pouring into that that's not being able to be used for research because the government's shying away from it. So if we can legalize it, use that money to find a better alternative, then I don't see an issue as why we shouldn't do that.
Thank you. Now, some words of wisdom as conclusions. Student A.
All right, so I believe points have been established. Vaping is, of course, something that harms all of our generation and will continue to harm further generations as they come along. And I implore from every one of you, all adults and all children, to be very conscient about the things, the perspective we take on these kinds of subjects, because they can really impact the world.
B.
Let's consider a few things we've discussed here today. We've explored some evidence that shows that vaping is significantly less harmful than smoking, 95% less harmful, in fact. And this isn't just a statistic, it represents a possible reduction in the heartache and the loss caused by smoking-related diseases. We've heard concerns of health risks and youth smoking rates, yet the evidence suggests that regulated vaping can be a powerful tool to help stop smoking in general, proving to be more effective than any other nicotine replacement therapy as well. Let's not forget that vaping products, when regulated, offer controlled nicotine doses without the myriad of carcinogenics that come from black market vapes. This can be a powerful tool to stop smoking and provide a healthier future for everybody. Let's not be swayed by the fear that we are hearing from the other side, where nearly 50,000 smokers have used vaping as a way to escape their lifelong habit of smoking cigarettes. So I ask you, is it time that we focus on solutions that can lead to a smoke-free future? Isn't it time that we embrace strategies that reduce harm and support public health? Let's choose a path of progress. Let's legalize vaping, and let's save our planet.
Okay, guys. That's it.
Now in French.
Thank you very much.